people still do not realize that while you can't train cats the same way as you can dogs, you can train the people who are servants to the cats to help them understand that there's a better way of doing things. You cannot, for example, punish a cat. You can't, as I said, train a cat. But what you can do is make the cat understand the cat is happier doing it this way than it would be that way. And there's a lot of behavioral, there are a lot of behavioral issues that can be softened or can be eradicated, it can be cured, is a difficult word, simply by introducing to them ways of reducing stress, methods of making what you want them to do more appealing and what you don't want them to do less appealing. People do not understand that feline behavior is as important to the health, mental and emotional, of the cat and the owner as it is to dog.
Why don't you share with us a little bit about the most common problems and which ones we're going to share with our audience today?
With pleasure. Number one problem by far is urinating outside the box. Now, when you talk with people at the shelters, when you talk with the few feline behavior counselors that do exist, everybody will tell you that's the number one reason why cats are returned to shelters. It's the number one reason why we get called to help. And what I would suggest is there are three main reasons why, one of three main reasons why a cat may urinate outside the box or even soil. Mm-hmm. Number one would be a medical issue. And so I would always tell my clients, first thing, when was the last time your cat was at the vet's? Make sure it has a completely clean bill of health. If everything is all right, then we look at number two. We will look, for example, where is the cat urinating? Is it just outside the box, near the vicinity? Is it somewhere way over on the other side of the room? This tells me that number three, it is not the box, if it is on the other side of the room, if it is a sofa or a chair, but it's a level of stress. A cat will show stress through its bladder. So, for example, there are different kinds of stress. And this is where a cat behavior counselor does come in and says, right, let's try to distinguish whether or not it's stress through social issues, through territorial issues, through environmental issues. It can be overlapping. What we would normally do is, and once we identify what the problem is, we would then try to solve it from that problem's direction. What kind of stress it is. So it's either medical, it is the problem with the box, like, for example, the location of the box itself, the kind of litter, the hygiene, on and on and on, or is it an emotional factor?
Why don't we touch a little bit more about the soiling later and share a little bit about the fearful one over here, the second one?
All right. Quite often I will have clients who will tell me that the cats they have, and they've had this problem for years, which the longer a problem exists with the animal, like with people, the more it is entrenched. But many times these cats come from shelters, or they come from rescues, they come from off the street, which is absolutely wonderful. The difficulty is that I would love to be able to sit down with these people and their cats and say, okay, tell me about your kittenhood. And you can't do it. You can't say, what were you like when you were a child, to a cat. But you try to surmise, for example, if it is from a rescue or a shelter, we don't know the kitten's background. Did mommy dump him? Did the siblings die? So there are lessons that a cat needs to learn, particularly in that 2 to 10 week period, that comes from mom, that comes from siblings, that comes from the cat's contemporaries, about being socialized, about being easy with humans, easy with other cats, all kinds of lessons. And quite often when a cat is taken, or adopted, I should say, from a shelter, we don't know that kind of education, if you like, has happened. So therefore, if the cat comes into the home and is very fearful, hides under the bed, then it's up to, again, the behaviorist to then try to discuss with the person, how are you helping this cat find its confidence? You cannot decide for the cat how he should behave. Unfortunately, you have to leave it to the cat to a great extent. Let the cat come out on its own time. It may take a while. You can't reach under the bed and grab the cat. You can't say, like you couldn't just say to a person, love me, love me, love me. It can't be done. But for example, you might encourage a very healthy and loving and trusting, biggest thing, trusting environment for the cat by saying, okay, if I can't reach in under the bed to grab the cat out, I will leave the cat get the smells, get used to the new home, get used to all the different sights and senses, and then with a little bit of time, maybe I'll put a treat underneath the bed. Unlike dogs, which can respond to pets and loving words and treats, a cat's reaction is going to be that the pets and the love, all very nice, give me the food. So you are probably going to correct the problem, at least initially.
Mm-hmm.
The trust begins to be established with food. You put a treat underneath the bed. Eventually the cat comes out and takes it. Then maybe a couple of hours or maybe a day later, depending on the cat, put the treat a little bit closer to the outside. Little by little, the cat then is tempted. You know, the idea that they would talk about, I remember in Cosmopolitan magazine years ago, was make the man think it's his idea. And they would give us advice to all of us women.
Yes.
We are saying, make the cat think it's his or her idea. So the cat comes out a little bit at a time. Get the cat out of underneath the bed, for one thing. Then, when you're inside of the cat, do nothing. Don't stare directly into his eyes. Remember, a cat sees that as a threat. So get to know something about cat language.
Oh, so it's the same as dogs. So you cannot look at them straight in the eye. I didn't know about that.
Sometimes you can look in the eye with a smile and loving words, and the dog gets the idea.
Mm-hmm,
With a cat, look very gently, quickly, look away. Or do what I suggest as a slow blink. Some people call it a cat kiss, where you will look at the cat for a moment, you catch its glance, and then you very slowly blink your eye. Now, if the cat slowly blinks its eyes back, you're getting a little rapport there. If the cat doesn't look away, do it another time. But it means you are relaxed, that the cat will then relax. If you yawn in front of a cat, you are relaxed. Your hands are not toward the cat, your hands are by your side. You are leaning back. You know, you've got to drop any sense of tension that the cat will pick up.
So do they read then your body language too?
Very much so.
Wow.
People underestimate that.
I was ignorant to that. I'm
They're
learning a lot.
incredibly sensitive creatures. People underestimate that sensitivity, much more so than dogs.